All right, let's just jump right in. We're about to crack open a text that's, get this, 1,500 years old. And it's designed to challenge two of the biggest, most fundamental ideas we have about, well, reality itself. Think of it as a serious workout for your brain, something that's really going to make you question the very ground you're standing on.
So let's start with the first big question. Do you have a permanent self? Is there some core, unchanging you deep down inside, that essential part of you that's been there since you were a kid and, will always be there?
And here's the second one. Are some things just absolutely good and other things absolutely evil? I mean, does goodness exist on its own as this pure, independent thing out there in the universe?
Okay, whatever you just answered, I want you to hold on to that thought. Because a 1,500-year-old philosophical manual, it's called the Hundred Treatises, or the Śataśāstra, argues that the answer to both of those questions is a hard no. And it doesn't just say it, it sets out to prove it, using nothing but pure logic.
So this text was written by this absolutely brilliant thinker, Āryadeva. And what's really crucial to get here is that this is not scripture. It's not something you're supposed to just believe blindly. It's more like a piece of mental technology, a user's manual for your own mind designed to help you find the hidden bugs and contradictions in the way you see the world every day.
Now, to make this ancient logic a little easier to digest, we're going to frame this whole thing as a debate, a kind of philosophical duel, you could say, between two totally opposite ways of looking at the world. A debate that's honestly been going on for centuries.
All right, let's meet our contestants. On one side, you've got the outsider, and that's basically, well, it's us. It's our everyday, common-sense gut feeling about how things are. Reality is solid, it's fixed, it's straightforward. And on the other side, we have the insider. This is our challenger, Āryadeva. And he comes armed with pure logic, using it like a scalpel to just meticulously dissect all those common-sense beliefs. So, let's get into it.
Okay, round one. We're diving straight into a huge topic. Good and evil. Is goodness a real, actual, absolute thing? Well, our outsider, representing our gut feelings, for sure thinks it is.
So the outsider comes out swinging with a pretty reasonable-sounding challenge. He says, look, my scripture, my holy book, it starts with a blessing. It's positive. Yours starts by talking about evil. That's just wrong. Your whole text is flawed from the get-go. And you know what? It sounds like a pretty simple, intuitive point, right? But the insider, he's ready for this.
And the insider's response is just a masterclass in logic. He completely dismantles the argument. First, he points out the outsider's hidden assumption that goodness is this real, absolute thing. Then, he puts that idea to the test. He shows that what's good in one situation is bad in another. It's all relative. You can't find goodness just existing on its own. And that leads to his killer conclusion, which comes with this great analogy. You have to wash a dirty cloth before you can dye it a beautiful new color. You've got to understand and stop what's causing harm first, then you can cultivate what's good.
So, with that idea of absolute good and evil totally shaken up, the insider moves on to round two. And this time, the target is way more personal. It's the very idea of you, that permanent, unchanging self, the ghost in the machine. Does it actually exist?
All right, before we go any further, let's get our terms straight. The idea we're really digging into here is called Atman in Sanskrit, or in this particular text, Shen. But what does it mean? It's that idea of a permanent, unchanging soul, the thing that's in charge, the little CEO sitting in the corner office of your brain, the core, essential you.
Okay, so here's where the insider sets this brilliant logical trap. It's a simple question, but it's absolutely devastating. He asks, this permanent self you believe in, is it the exact same thing as your consciousness? Your thoughts, your feelings, your awareness? Or is it something totally separate from all that?
Let's explore that first option. Let's say, okay, the self is my consciousness. Well, right away, you've got a huge problem. Think about it. Your thoughts, your feelings, your awareness, they're changing constantly, right? From one second to the next. They're the opposite of permanent. So if your self is your consciousness, then your self can't be permanent. And that completely contradicts the original idea we started with.
All right, so that path's a dead end. What about option B? What if the self is separate from consciousness? Like it's the little pilot driving your body machine? Well, think about what that means. If it's separate from your awareness, then, by definition, it can't be aware of anything. It's a non-knowing thing. So how in the world can an entity that has no awareness use knowledge or have experiences? It just doesn't make any sense. The whole idea falls apart.
You see what happened there? Both paths lead to a total logical dead end. It's a checkmate. Whether you say the self is the same as consciousness or different from it, either way, the idea of a permanent, unchanging conscious self just completely dissolves under scrutiny. It just doesn't hold up.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds kind of bleak, right? Like nihilistic or something. But that is absolutely not the point. Tearing these ideas down isn't about leaving us with nothing. Far from it. The actual goal here is something else entirely. It's about a really profound kind of freedom.
And this brings us to this huge central idea called emptiness, or śūnyatā. And please, this is so important. Emptiness does not mean nothingness. It's not about things not existing. It's about them not having a fixed, separate, independent identity. It means everything is radically interconnected. Everything depends on everything else. Think of it like this. A wave can't be separated from the ocean, right? In the same way, you can't be separated from the rest of the universe.
When you really start to grasp this, you're on what the text calls the middle way. And it's a path that helps you avoid getting trapped in rigid, extreme ideas, like things absolutely exist forever, or nothing exists at all. Instead, it's about seeing reality as it is, fluid, dynamic, and honestly, a much more liberating way to live.
The text has this beautiful way of describing the state of mind you can cultivate. It says, "To hear of is without joy, to hear of is not without sorrow. This is called liberation." Just imagine that, being able to see things come and go, the good and the bad, the is and the is not, without getting completely knocked off your feet by joy or sorrow. According to Āryadeva, that is what real freedom feels like.
So here's the final thought we want to leave you with. Most of us spend so much of our lives defending this fixed idea of me, protecting it, defining it, but what if that whole idea is just a story? A really convincing story, but a story nonetheless. If you could just let go of that rigid, fixed idea of yourself, what would you be free to become?